If you thought the BMW M3 was going fully electric and that was the end of the story, BMW just blinked. Because new reports say BMW is working on a 1,000 horsepower electric M3, but here's the twist. BMW is also preparing a brand new Petrol M3, basically as a backup plan, just in case you hate the EV one. And that single detail tells you everything. BMW knows the M3 community is split right down the middle. So in this video, I'm breaking down what this news really means, why BMW is doing it, what the new Petrol M3 will likely be, what an electric M3 needs to get right, and the uncomfortable question nobody wants to ask, is BMW about to create the greatest, last Petrol M3 ever? Because the electric one is going to be too much. Let's be clear, this isn't about some random BMW model. This is the M3, one of the most important performance cars ever made. In the US, the M3 is the original do-everything sports sedan you can daily drive, road trip, and still take to a track day on the weekend. In the UK, it's been the dream autobahn and B-road weapon for decades, and like it or not, M3 buyers are some of the most opinionated people on the internet. BMW knows that, and that's exactly why this headline matters. Let's start with the EV M3. A 1,000 horsepower electric M3 sounds like science fiction. That's hypercar power in a four-door, instant torque, brutal launches, and potentially ridiculous corner exit speed if BMW uses multiple motors with proper torque vectoring. And if BMW wants to win the internet, numbers like that do it instantly. But here's the problem. Horsepower is not what made the M3 legendary. The M3's magic has always been feel, steering that talks to you, a chassis that rotates predictably, throttle response you can modulate mid-corner, and a car that feels mechanical, not digital. EVs can be wildly fast, but speed alone isn't personality. And there's a second issue: physics, weight. Even with next-generation battery tech, a high-performance EV sedan is going to fight mass. Weight means tyres wear faster, brakes work harder, and on-track performance becomes a heat management game. So yes, an electric M3 could be devastating in a straight line, but the real question is, can it feel like an M car on a real road? Because if it doesn't, people will call it fast, and still say it's not an M3. So why would BMW build a new petrol M3 in the same era as an electric one? 3 reasons. Reason 1. The market isn't unified. In the US, you've got massive distances, inconsistent charging infrastructure depending on where you live, and a lot of buyers who simply don't want to plan their life around chargers. In the UK, charging is improving, but plenty of enthusiasts still don't have easy home charging. If you live in a flat, park on the street, or you don't have a reliable charger at work, the convenience argument flips instantly. BMW is basically saying, we're not going to force every M3 customer into one future. Reason 2. BMW cannot afford to get the M3 wrong. The M3 isn't just a product, it's a halo car. It's brand credibility. If BMW launches an electric M3 and the community rejects it, that's not just lost M3 sales. BMW risks losing the identity that helps sell everything else. And reason 3, regulations and timelines are still shifting. Different markets have different deadlines, different exemptions, and different realities. The transition is happening, but it's not one clean switch. So BMW's safest play is to run both paths at the same time. And honestly, that's not cowardice, that's strategy. Now, when people hear new Petrol M3, some immediately imagine a return to naturally aspirated engines. Let's be realistic, that's not happening. What we're likely getting is an evolved version of BMW's current formula. A modern turbocharged inline-6 M car, updated to survive emissions rules and still deliver that classic M3 feel. Think improved efficiency, improved cooling, updated software, maybe some mild hybrid assistance behind the scenes, but still a petrol M3 you can actually drive like a petrol M3. And if BMW is smart, they won't position this car as the slower one. They'll position it as the one with the soul. Because even if the electric M3 ends up faster, the petrol M3 can still win where enthusiasts care most. Sound, interaction, long-distance convenience, refueling in 3 minutes, and that feeling of building speed with revs and gears. That's an experience EVs still struggle to replace without feeling fake. Now here's the dangerous part for BMW, the brand risk nobody wants to talk about. If the electric M3 arrives with 800 to 1000 horsepower, the petrol M3 instantly becomes the weaker one in headlines. And social media doesn't reward nuance. People don't share great steering feel. They share 0 to 60 times. So BMW has to avoid a future where the EV M3 is seen as the real flagship and the Petrol M3 looks like a nostalgic compromise. Because if that happens, Petrol M cars don't just fade out, they get culturally replaced. BMW needs to sell the Petrol M3 on what EVs can't easily replicate: feedback, balance, repeatable performance without thermal drama, and yes, real sound and real mechanical texture. But at the same time, BMW needs to build an EV M3 that doesn't rely on gimmicks. Fake shifts, artificial engine noise, synthetic vibration. Some people might enjoy it, but a lot of enthusiasts will call it cringe immediately. So what does an electric M3 actually need to do to win people over? Here's the checklist. First, it has to be consistent, not one fast lap and then it overheats. Real M cars take abuse. Second, it needs real steering and chassis tuning. If it feels numb, it's dead on arrival for enthusiasts. Third, it should avoid fake drama. EVs should be proud of what they are: silent, instant, and brutally effective. If BMW has to fake the experience, it raises the question of whether the experience was there in the first place. And fourth, it needs to feel adjustable. M3 drivers love a car you can place with the throttle, feel the rear end, and control rotation. If torque vectoring makes it feel too perfect, too computer, that could backfire. The best M cars feel like you're in control, not like you're along for the ride. If BMW nails all of that, then yes, an electric M3 could be a monster that even purists respect. But if BMW focuses only on horsepower, they'll build a viral car that enthusiasts don't love. So is BMW panicking? I don't think so. I think BMW is building a bridge. The Petrol M3 exists to protect the badge, keep loyal customers buying, and preserve the M3's identity during the transition. The electric M3 exists because BMW knows where performance is going. Electric powertrains are inevitable, and at some point they'll be so good that even the purist will have to admit the engineering is insane. So for a few years the M3 might split into two parallel experiences. The Petrol M3 will be the emotional, mechanical, classic M choice. The electric M3 will be the futuristic, brutally fast, tech-heavy weapon. And eventually the EV version will probably become the main event. Which means the last Petrol M3, if BMW really does it properly, could become a future legend. Not because it's the fastest, but because it's the last one that feels like a living, breathing machine. Now I want to hear from you, especially if you're watching in the US or the UK. If BMW releases a 1,000 horsepower electric M3 and a brand new petrol M3 right alongside it, which one are you actually buying with your own money? And second question, if the Petrol M3 is the last of the breed, should BMW keep a manual transmission option alive? Yes or no? Drop your answer in the comments and tell me where you're watching from, US or UK, because I want to see if the preference splits by market. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit subscribe, because the next few years are going to decide whether the M3 stays an icon or becomes just another fast badge.